So first off, it's cold. This is actually the hottest time of the year, but the building I live in isn't insulated very well, and there's no source of heat for it. And I'm up in the mountains, so even during the hottest time of the year, it's cold at night, and it's dark. So that's something to keep in mind for people to come here, is that this is not a normal lifestyle. And part of that's by design, in that I don't want to use a lot of resources. The whole lifestyle here, everything about it, is a lot more like camping than living in the industrial world. I'm going to pour a little bit of water here to make some coffee. I'm very careful about how much water I use. So this particular setup over here is a kitchen that just has water coming in from this tank up there. That tank, I don't know if you can see it, is all of the water that I have for the whole dry season in this building. And it would be very difficult to move water up here. And then, so the way I built this kitchen was that you have to actually take a hose and transfer water into this bucket up here. And then the water goes straight down a drain into that bucket when it leaves. The idea is to have a kitchen that's so simple that it causes people to be really careful about what resources they're using. It's probably enough for coffee. Well, that's plenty. And if I'm just here alone, I have no problem. This gets back into the differences between being alone and not alone in terms of my lifestyle. If I'm alone, I can use almost no resources. If I have other people here, then one of the standard struggles is that they're extremely trained to use as much resources as possible. And if they don't know where they're going, if they haven't signed on for the experience of learning how to use less resources, then I'm in immediate conflict with them. They feel like, they're practically being abused. They're being abused because they're not being given the things that they normally have, like daily showers. There's no daily showers here. We don't even do that in the rainy season. The whole point of the project is to learn how to live with far less resources, more in tune with the land, and implement some of these happy hippie thoughts and put them into actual practice of how do we live in a better way that's actually sustainable. So that's a real shock for some people, and that's why there's an application to come here. Normal people should not come here. Sometimes people read about the place online and they're like, well, I wouldn't go to a place like that. And I'm like, good, I'm glad you've identified that. Don't come here, because I'm not going to change. This is the goal. Now, that said, I still would like to make things more comfortable. If I had resources, I have lots of things I can do to make them more comfortable. Having propane is an example. Now, this is the propane tank here, and it's almost out of propane. It's going to run out any minute. Maybe there's a little in there. And, I actually, if I fill all the propane tanks, I think I've got like 8. Then if I've got 1, 2, 3 people here, I can actually go a couple years on that, because we don't use propane for heating. We only use it for cooking. And so a tank that size is actually a lot of propane. So that's great. And that's one of the reasons I've decided, as I go through every energy system and calculate what makes sense and doesn't, that propane for now is actually just fine. We do want to design for a society in which we use no propane, but for now, in this transitional period, it's just too valuable and easy a thing to skip. Already people come here and they find that everything takes a long time to do basic things like wash your clothes by hand, and so they're surprised. Or cook the way we cook. A lot of stuff's cooked from scratch, and it just takes a huge amount of time. And a lot of people enjoy that, but as a lifestyle, they don't. As a vacation, they do. And my nightmare that I had when I woke up, they were also using the showers. There was 2 people using a bunch of hot water in the showers. And there is no hot water except in one building in reality. The dream version of the Bosque was slightly different. But the point is that unrestrained people will just burn through all the resources, destroy the place, and they'll just think it's normal living. So that's one of my fears. The motivation behind this video is because somebody asked me, what's my morning like? They're doing some kind of project, and he's considering what he does in the morning and seeing if he can motivate himself to go running or something. Well, I have a couple thoughts on that. One is that my mornings are very different based on whether I'm alone or not. Right now, I'm very free. I feel free because I'll do what I need to do. Hopefully, I'll look at my list and get things done on it. But I also like when there's other people here because then there's a structure, and I need to do things to be a little bit more pragmatic and have real things going on and have the Bosque be functioning as I like it to. With just one person here, it's a little bit difficult because my time gets all taken up serving one person, keeping them busy, having them have projects, talking to them, listening to them, trying to figure out how they can help. And so the problem is then I'm not working on the things that actually directly are going to help the place survive. I lose control over my schedule. So it's better for me if there's a small group of people here. And my current goal is to get to the point where I once again can have a small group of people here, but not be losing money on it. And at that point, I can make another attempt. That's my current next goal, is to have a few people living here who are happy doing what they're doing. They get used to it. They're not just dropping by as tourists. And then I have a little bit of free time to work on the things that only I can do to make this project function. And then add more people, do more projects, and build it into what my real vision is. As far as what time we should get up, like I said, I get up really early, and that's a leftover habit from my ex-girlfriend and I. We would get up at 3 in the morning in a building with a fireplace, and we'd make a fire, and we would write. And that was because there were people here, and it was the only time we had, well, there were people here some of the time. It was the only time we had that we could get things done without distraction. And so she was starting to write books. She wrote a bunch of books while she was here. She became an author. I'm very proud of that. And the way that happened was by having writing start at 3 a.m. And I thought about providing that for other authors as well. Or just basically have a place that's warm in the morning for people who aren't asleep. But it'd be a quiet place. And, I don't have a lot of electricity, but I'm willing to expand the electric system to allow people to do this. In particular, I've thought about NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, which is November. And people in 30 days are supposed to write a 50,000-word novel. It's a novel idea. It's very amusing. And so I'd like to host people for that. And I think that offering this 3 a.m. start, where people show up and they just sit there with their computer or whatever, and there's a fire going, and there's some tea, and you don't talk, you just write. I think that's a really good idea because the winter nights are pretty long. I didn't put any coffee in the water. That's really dumb. I do have coffee at the moment, which is a luxury for me. I got a donation about a month ago, and I felt comfortable enough that I could spend 120 pesos on half a kilo of coffee. And so it lasts me actually quite a while, and I just like it. It's a ritual. It's a luxury. I've removed almost all luxuries from my life, but this is an awful nice one to be able to continue. Also, they only recently started selling coffee again in town. For over 10 years, there was nowhere to buy coffee. You could buy Nescafe, which I don't really count as coffee. But there's a new store called La Flor del Sazon. I think it's been there about a year now. And they sell this coffee, Saracqua, some Purepecha word, I don't know. Anyway, I'm thrilled to have a little bit of drugs in the morning. It's a nice ritual. I don't have to have it. I was actually boycotting coffee, sort of, because I was going to wait till I had a wholesale source of it. I need to go down and visit a farm in Uruapan. It's on my list. I have a list of thousands, literally thousands and thousands and thousands of things I need to do. That's another reason to have people here is because I want the Bosque to be having these projects going on. It's really fun. And I have lots of stuff I can plug people into where they can be doing things to make a better world and then be broadcasting that. And, anyway, that's too much. This is how hyper I am without coffee in the morning. So back to the idea of getting up early. It's an option, but not necessary. If we were going to design a lifestyle for the best use of energy, then probably we should count back from twilight, civil twilight in the morning. So count back from the time it's just getting light enough to walk around in the morning. That is probably when we should get up. Normal people should wake up at that time. So the time that they should go to sleep, they would count back how many hours of sleep they need and go to sleep at that time. If people are left uncontrolled, then they'll stay up as late as they can, drinking and chatting, and then they won't be functional in the morning, and it will be 10 or 11 in the morning before they're really, as a group, ready to try and do something, and by then you've blown half your day. So we don't want to do that. We're living in tune with the light. We're living in tune with the daily cycle. And so what we want to do is go to sleep too early so that we naturally, without alarms, without difficulty, get up when the sun comes up. So as soon as that first part of light comes up, you can get out of bed, you can do your business and start to adjust to your new reality of the day, and you can see something really amazingly wonderful, the sunrise. The sunrises are spectacular here, coming up over the lake. Sometimes they're boring, sometimes they're exciting, but it's really nice to enjoy the sunrise. The other thing to do in the morning is to move your ass. Move. Because it's still cold in the morning, right? And so the easiest way to get warm is to move. Sometimes I've had people here and they're walking around cold in the morning because I've gotten them to get up. But if they don't move, then they're uncomfortable, you know, and I try and get them to bring warm enough clothing. Like I've got this amazing alpaca sweater. I've been wearing this for over a decade. I need to have always an alpaca sweater in my life. They're just great. And so you have to be, you know, have the right tools, the right clothing, so you're warm. Anyway, but the key is to get moving. This time of year, it's the hottest time of year, and April, May, run in there. And so it's a really good time in the morning to get some physical work done. If there's macheting that needs to be done, or digging, or moving firewood, it's really best to do it in the morning, because the sun is so hot, it beats down so hard at this elevation. We're very high up in the mountains. So it's colder, but it's also hotter. And so you don't want to be out there, pardon me, you don't want to be out there working in the middle of the day. So, mornings, yeah. Get up with the sun, move, get some physical work done. That should be the goal.